Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about a topic that's blowing up on my Instagram, and that is how your sales are directly tied to your belief system. There are a couple of things that I want to touch on between my one-on-one market research sessions that I was hosting earlier this year and also previous sales training that I've had in the past. So we're gonna dive right into this topic, and hopefully none of these cat hairs that are on my nose are gonna give me an issue, and I'm hopefully not gonna sneeze. I think I sneezed in the last podcast. I don't know if I edited it out. We're just gonna go with it. Basically, your sales are going to be directly tied to your belief system, and the reason why is because a lot of what drives your belief system has to do with your confidence level. And this is where I'm going to touch on my prior sales training that, in all honesty, I really am not a big fan of my prior sales training. However, this one point is actually, it plays in with sales, whether you're making sales online or whether you're making sales in person. I've generated a lot of money over the last 2 years for in-person sales, and it has a lot to do with your confidence level. Do you know the product that you're selling? Do you know what the availability is of it? Do you know like the ins and outs of what you're going to be providing somebody a service for or a product for? Because that is going to convey confidence to other people. When I talk about, just to give you a very good idea of what I sell boxes. I feel like Michael Scott, like on steroids, okay? Michael Scott from, The Office, and he sells paper. So on a normal day, I sell paper. I sell boxes. And when I get a phone call or a text message and I have somebody asking me for a specific dimension or a specific type of box, I say, okay, yeah, I have this many skids available. I don't have that many skids available. What kind of box are you looking for? How many skids? Blah, blah, blah. And in the beginning, I didn't come off that way because I wasn't as familiar with the product. I wasn't as familiar with what they were looking for. And it took me a little bit of time to get comfortable with the material that I was going to be selling for me to be able to say, oh yeah, if you're looking for the 18, 11, 17 berry, I only have one skid left. So if you want to grab it, you're going to want to grab it now. I can get it to you for 70 cents a box. That is way more confident than, oh, what size berry box are you looking for again? How many are you looking for? What type did you take last time? And you're asking so many questions to them. I should know all of the material. Of course, I'm coming off as not confident. And so when you're going to sell something, your belief system in yourself, being able to speak to the product or speak to the service, is conveyed when you're going to sell, when you're going to make the sale. So again, when I go and I talk about these boxes, I'm like, yep, I have this in stock, or nope, I don't have it in stock. Because then I sound, whether I have it available or not, I sound confident. I sound like I know what I'm doing. I sound like I'm checking the inventory. I sound like I'm doing my job. So that is going to make me a sale if we have it available. Or if we don't have it available, then I say, I can give you a substitute. This is the size that I have available. If that doesn't work for you, then we could wait until the next trailer comes in. Easy, right? Very confident. That is one of the biggest things. If you have minimal confidence in yourself, it's going to come through in your posts. It's going to come through in your stories. It's going to come through in your podcast episodes, in your content, in your videos, everything. It'll come through because people will sniff it out. People can tell if you're confident or not. So one thing that I want to offer you, a subconscious tool that I want to offer you to help you increase your confidence, is taking the time to visualize yourself. I will scream about visualization until the cows come home. Visualization is so important because when you can mentally rehearse yourself doing the task, then you can say, oh my gosh, I am doing it. And your brain cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. So it makes you're more confident. And when you see yourself doing it, you're like, oh, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. You build up proof and you build up evidence within yourself. And then even though you're in the beginning, you just started in your head, then you actually go out and you start doing it. And when you're doing it in real life, in the world, online, wherever, and you're actually seeing it accomplished, then you're like, oh my gosh, I can do it. I'm doing it. I am capable of this. And then when you see and you feel that you're capable of it, what happens? Your confidence level goes through the roof. And what happens then? It becomes easier for you to make a sale. Simple. So that's the first one. The second one I want to talk about is actually something that happened on a market research call. So when I was doing market research earlier on in the year, I took on some friends. I took on some people who I really didn't know. I took on probably a fair amount of people, between 5 and 7 people. And originally it was because I was doing a marketing experiment. I wanted to get some market research. I wanted to get some more content together. And so I was like, hey, I'll offer these NLP sessions in exchange for whatever information I could possibly get out of these particular people. And so what wound up happening was I got a lot of practice in. And so what naturally wound up happening was I started to provide people with a transformation that they actually got. They actually achieved getting their whole entire wait list for their September launch filled out. Or, somebody actually just sent not that long ago a picture of a tattoo that we had talked about months before when we were doing our sessions together. And so I know I can provide people a transformation with my subconscious tools. I know that I can provide people a transformation and a shift in their energy through the work that I'm doing, because I have people who have walked through it and done it themselves. And so what that does is it builds confidence in myself. It builds confidence in my skills and my abilities in the transformation that I can provide. And then what happens? When I go to talk about it, I'm going to make sales. Because people are going to be like, oh my God, she actually got that personal trainer to go get, her whole entire waitlist filled out from doing TikTok lives. She just got that other personal trainer who, coaches people on the other side of the world. She got her to a place energetically where she feels aligned with herself and grounded, and she got that tattoo. It is huge. The results and the transformations are huge. So it makes sense that you're going to see yourself in action, see that you provided other people a transformation. And so what you're going to do is naturally you're going to make sales. And on top of that, you're taking care of your people. Something that I have been struggling with for quite a long time, because I have gone viral in the past. And I know the power of virality and having so many people and so much traffic driven to your page. Something that I know is powerful is having that many people in your audience. And something that I also know is also very powerful is when you get to experience that transformation one-on-one directly with that client. And this year, when I was able to provide those direct transformations one-on-one with the client, even though it was not paid for, it felt 10 times better for me because I know I delivered on the transformation. Versus when you go viral, yes, you're able to provide people with something, but you don't actually know of the power of the transformation they're receiving. So it has this duality, right? And there are a lot of people who are very big names in the industry who are talking about how smaller creators, how smaller niche accounts are going to make it big in 2025. And the reason why is because it's boutique. You get one person and you focus on one person. You give them a personalized, individualized, customized experience. And what ends up happening? You get a raving fan for life. you get the best word of mouth marketing you can ever think possible, because you were taking care of somebody so well that they want to tell everyone else about you. So something to think about and consider, how working on your skills, working with people, providing them with the transformation is going to help lead to more sales. Because what you're doing as you're walking somebody through the transformation, what you're doing when you're practicing your skills with them is you're building belief in yourself. That plain and simple. The last thing that I want to touch on here in terms of how sales are directly tied with your belief system is the outcome of the sales, the outcome of your beliefs, and how they're directly tied together. So where am I going with this? Where I'm going is there are a lot of people online, and the FTC is cracking down on these people more and more every day. There are a lot of people online who talk about, oh, I generated a $20,000 month, or my client just generated $40,000 this past month, or blah, blah, blah. They're making income claims. And so they're talking about sales, and they're talking about it from a place of, I have this, or a client of mine has this, and you don't. And so what does that do? It highlights the belief in yourself that you need what they have, instead of cultivating belief in yourself that you're capable of doing it. And so that's why it's really important that when we find a mentor online, or we're looking for a mentor online, that we're finding somebody who's going to be able to foster you coming to the conclusion, you coming to the outcome, you creating that reality for yourself, versus I have this and you need it. When somebody is marketing to you from a perspective and a point of, my client made $40,000 because of the tactics and strategies I'm working with them with, what they're saying is, I have something you don't. And what that's doing is highlighting scarcity for you and within you. And when something like that highlights scarcity within you, what typically ends up happening? Your nervous system panics. You go into a frenzy. You start being like, how am I going to change that? How am I going to fix that? Where is this going to come from? And what does that do? Nothing productive. Nothing productive. If anything, gets you in more debt than what you wanted to originally be in. It's very important that we're looking at the outcome that we believe we're capable of achieving first. And when we're consuming marketing that's highlighting the outcome that we believe we're capable of achieving first. There's a creator out there, very well-known creator. Her name is Catherine Zankina. She's also known as the Manifestation Babe. And she talks about the ladder of believability, meaning that before you can even reach a $40,000 month, you have to reach a $500 month, and then a $1,000 month, and then a $2,000 month, and then a $4,000 month, meaning you build on top of it. You build on that 500 to get to 1,000. You build on that 1,000 to get to 2,000 until you reach $40,000 per month, which means your sales are directly tied to your belief system. If you believe that you can make $40,000 in a month out the gate, okay, yeah, you're going to make it out the gate because you believe it. But there are a lot of people who want it and they're not there yet, because where you are, where your subconscious is always going to be the default for where you're going to be going. So we need to work on the subconscious. We need to regulate, and we need to learn our patterns, our habits, our routines. We have to learn more about ourselves in order for us to get there to the $40,000 per month. So you start with the 500. You say, okay, I did that. I did 500. Now let's do 1,000. Then you do 1,000. Maybe you do 965. Doesn't matter. You still did very close to 1,000. Then you do 2,000. And okay, maybe you did 1,888. Yeah, it's still closer to 2,000 than 965 is. Then you do 4,000. Then you do 8,000. And you go, you build on it. When you build on it, then you know, okay, I can do this. You're flexing your chest, as some like to say. So, I wanted to come to you in this episode and talk about that because there are a lot of things online that happen that not a whole lot of people are, privy or accustomed to. And I think it's really important to highlight all of this information and to make sure that you're aware of it. So that's why I wanted to bring this episode to you today. It's been on my heart to talk about sales for a really long time. And I think it's really important to make sales in integrity. And making sales in integrity means making sales from where your value system and where your belief system lie. And that means being transparent with people. So that's why I wanted to talk about that today. Bring this to you in this topic, in this podcast. So I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to also remind you that the 2025 Vision Board training is still currently available at the early bird price point. And on December 27th, it will go up to full price. And it's jam-packed. And I keep adding more and more things to it. So just grab it, because by the time the 27th gets here, I'm sure it's going to have way more than I had originally anticipated. Yes, it will have subliminals. Yes, it will have hypnoses. Yes, it will have visualizations. I also just added a 10-day challenge to it today because I was like, yeah, why not? Like people need, the implementation part of this too. So be sure to grab it, because all of that is going to be held in the Vision Board vault that I have set up on Notion. And you get access to the Notion board before the course material comes out. So be sure to grab it now. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. I want to thank you again for tuning in. And please leave a review. I always want to encourage you to leave a review because that is how podcasts grow. I want to thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon.